Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Thursday to everybody. I want to thank everybody for stopping in. I normally do these beer streams on, obviously, Friday night, but I will be going out of town, going up to Will Muschamp territory, up there in that crap hole called Columbia, South Carolina, up to Lake Murray for the weekend. So I decided to move it up to Thursday night. Obviously, this is a call-in show. Number to call in is 855-902-9368. Before I get started, though, a couple of announcements, a couple of things I want to say. Thanks to all the Patreon members. As of right now, I checked today, got 3, Border Bob, Billy Dawson, and our newest Patreon member, and I don't want to mispronounce his name because I don't think I've ever pronounced it right, Tarin Davis. I'm just going to call him TD. Some of the other guys that were Patreon members, I don't know if they stopped being one or sometimes at the start of the month, for whatever reason, they have to go check their account. So either way, thank you to all of you. Also, betnow.eu sponsors this live show and every live show from now through the rest of the college football season. There's a link in the description to this video and every video. Click that link. Use the promo code PigskinPete, and a portion of the proceeds will go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And I think that is it. College football news today. Listen, Georgia started their fall camp today. Some other schools did too. Clemson starts tomorrow. What else? Bud Foster announced a year early that he's retiring, which I definitely want to talk about that. I don't know what the benefit of him announcing before the season that he's retiring after the season is. I think that's a bad move. I don't really understand what that was all about. But anyway, before we get to the phone lines, let's see who's in the chat here. Uncle Lou is first in the house. Good morning and good afternoon to you, sir. The General. Sports in the Bay Area. What's up? Miranda Dansby, my favorite damsel in distress. George, college football fan number 1. Yo. Comic Dude 45. Nick S. Happy Thursday. Columbia is a crap hole, but Lake Murray is nice. Yeah, that obviously it's nice. That's why we're going there. We really wanted to go to Lake Keowee and Clemson, but it was a lot more expensive and it's further away. So anyway, Nick Chesnikov, what's up with you? Captain Trips. Who's going to win the preseason game? Pete, are you talking about this Hall of Fame game that's going on right now? The game I could care less about. I don't know. Listen, I hate the Falcons, so I'm going to say the Broncos, but I really don't know and really don't care. Let's check the phone lines here. Looks like I got a caller here. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete, it's the General. Are you doing amazing and fantastic today?
How'd you guess, sir? Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, if you remember last week, I called you up and talked to you about why BYU has a chance to upset Tennessee. Now, today I'm going to talk about why UAB has the chance to beat Tennessee. I'm joking. UAB doesn't have a chance. UAB doesn't have a chance. No chance. I'm joking. I'm going to do that same thing with Catfish tomorrow. But anyway, what I really want to talk about today, last week I did talk about BYU maybe upsetting Tennessee. Is there a team, Pete, that you think that Tennessee has a chance at upsetting a major team like an Alabama, Georgia, Florida, or a team that's a lot better than Tennessee, but you think they have a chance at beating them? Is there a team that comes to mind when I say that?
Well, I don't know. I think we might have talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to say I don't think you have a chance against Alabama or Georgia at this point. I guess out of the big three that you play, I'm going to consider Florida to be the third toughest team that you play, right? So I guess that would probably be the one. Listen, you're not going to like this, but I would consider at this point South Carolina they've had your number the past couple of years, right? So I would consider that to be an upset because they're just further along than you are right now. But I definitely think you have a chance to beat South Carolina. So there's my answer.
You're right. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's my answer. South Carolina or Florida.
That's your answer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I agree with 2/3 of what you said. Alabama and Florida, I think are guaranteed losses easily. And the reason I'm saying Florida is a guaranteed loss over Georgia is simply the matchup. Florida has a really good defensive line, if not the second best in the SEC behind Auburn. And Tennessee has one of the worst offensive lines in the SEC, putting it mildly.
Okay.
So just being real, Jarrett Garantano's not going to have enough time to throw the ball. And when you have a guy in your face like that, it's kind of hard to get the ball to your playmakers.
Where is that?
So,
where is that game being played?
The Florida game, it's in the swamp too. It's in Florida.
All right, yeah.
So that doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah.
Now Georgia, let's not kid ourselves. It'd be pretty surprising to see Tennessee upset Georgia, too, even if it's in Neyland Stadium. But if I had to pick between those three, I would say the best team, or the best teams of those three is obviously Alabama and Georgia, and Florida is the weakest of those three teams. But I think the best chance of an upset is probably Georgia. And I'm not picking this to happen. I'm just saying it's probably, of those three, the most likely. Because of Florida, you're just not beating Florida because of that matchup I talked about. The offense is not going to be able to put enough points on the board. Alabama is Alabama. I'm not even going to waste breath talking about that.
No.
And Georgia, that's what you're left with. It's in Neyland Stadium. ESPN has it on one of their top upset boards. A lot of people are picking it, circling it as a trap game. Tennessee has a bye week before that game. I think Tennessee can really have a chance to do something special. And, Tennessee, every single year, they have, except for the Butch Jones era, every single year, Dooley, Kiffin, Fulmer, they usually have a game where nobody expects them to win in the preseason. They end up winning. Right. Last year it was Auburn.
Auburn, right, yeah.
I think that's going to happen this year again with somebody. But I'll let you get another call, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate it. And, listen, I'm gonna just have to agree to disagree with him. I still think that Florida is, behind Georgia and Alabama, but who knows? Look, Georgia. He's telling me it's a better matchup. Tennessee's offense against Georgia's defense, as opposed to Tennessee's offense versus Florida's defensive line, which may be true. I don't know, but I can tell you this. Georgia's roster in total is better. Their coaching staff is obviously been better. They've been more consistent winning. So, just going off of what I know from the past couple of years, and of course, we don't really know a whole lot about Florida going into this year. They're more of a wild card. So I'm obviously gonna pick Florida out of those three. Let's see who else has joined the chat here. MCD Sports in the house. Krispy Kreme. That's a hell of a name. Hold on. Ramon Jordan. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to the show. What's good, Pete? What's good with you? Buzz Czar. Will Bama lose a regular season game? The answer to that is always going to be yes, no matter who you ask me. You ask me Clemson, will they lose a regular season game? The answer, I think, is yes. Bama, yes. Georgia, yes. You just go down the line. If you pick any team in America to lose at least one regular season game, then you are going to come out on top with the odds more years than not. So, yeah, I do. Now, as far as which game that would be, I think their toughest game, and listen, obviously LSU would be considered to be the second best team in the West by most people, and I would agree with that. But I think that that Texas A&M road game would probably be one that they need to look out for. Somebody else call in. Let me get another beer in me, says George. Uh-oh. Buzz Czar, how about 2 losses? For Alabama, I would probably say no. I mean, it's certainly possible, but when's the last time Alabama lost 2 games in one season? In a regular season? It's been a while. So, I'd say no. But I do think out of all the teams in America, the 2 teams that have the best chance to go undefeated are Alabama and Clemson. And has nothing to do with conference or schedule or anything like that. It just has to do with the fact that they've been the most consistent winners. So that's the way that goes. All right. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete, what's going on, man?
What's up, Ramon? How you doing, sir?
I can't complain, man. All is well. Out of curiosity, I'm trying to figure out if Dino Babers is going to last another year in Syracuse. I mean, if he hits 10-3 again, you think there's any possibility he stays there?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a possibility. He's hard to guy to figure out. He's one of these guys that's rah-rah about Syracuse, but he's obviously the current coach at Syracuse, so that's what you're going to hear from him.
Right, exactly.
But I think with him, it's going to come down to what job does he get offered. I don't think that he'll leave for even a program that maybe somebody would consider to be better than Syracuse. If it's just barely a step up from Syracuse, I don't think he'll leave. I think he'll leave for a big-time job is what it's going to take to get him out of there.
I got him landing at South Carolina at the end of the year.
That, well, a lot would have to happen. Number one, Syracuse would have to win 9 or 10 games again and probably win a bowl game against a major team. And then on top of that, Will Muschamp would have to get fired. And I don't think that Will Muschamp's going to get fired no matter what happens at South Carolina this year because they just gave him an extension, a 6-year extension last year. And I think they're going to kind of give him a pass this year, even if they only win 6 games or something, just based on their schedule. So,
because I mean, it's easy to see how somebody gets 6 losses in their schedule. Unfortunately, it's easy to see how somebody can do that. Yeah,
that's what I have them at. I have them 6-6, at best 7-5, but it's brutal. Listen, they do have a brutal schedule. Nobody's going to take that away from them, but. I just don't. I'm not a big believer in Will Muschamp to begin with. So, more years than not, he wins less games than he's projected to. I mean, that goes for his time at Florida and at South Carolina. So it's not a stretch to say that, really.
Yeah. I had him as a dark horse. Dino Babers. I had him as a dark horse for the Auburn job, but I was like, it's just too big of a job for him right now. I don't think, with them, being pretty competitive in the SEC West over the past decade, winning a championship about 10 years ago and being another championship game about 6 years ago, however long ago it was. I think that's probably just too big of a step for him. But that's why I said probably the best thing he'd probably get this season would probably be like South Carolina, because you said, I mean, I don't see him leaving for something that's damn near a lateral move. You know what I mean? Like something that's just one step up where he could just keep going on it seriously.
Yeah. I agree. And the ACC right now, I don't think he would go to another ACC school because I just don't think there's going to be any head coaching changes in the ACC, except the only one that might be a possibility of would probably be North Carolina State. If they have an abysmal year, Dave Doeren might be on the hot seat. But outside of that, I mean, you got a bunch of new coaches and you got a bunch of good coaches, established coaches who are, who have elevated their programs. You got Wake Forest has been much better the past few years. Obviously, Virginia is doing much better. I heard today, so I'm glad you brought that up because with this whole Bud Foster thing, with him announcing that he's retiring after this year as defensive.
Right, I saw that.
So I heard somebody it was either TV or radio say, this could be a sign that, if Virginia Tech goes out and has a terrible year again this year, that Justin Fuente could be gone as well. I mean, I guess that's a possibility. However, I don't really buy that because Virginia Tech does not fire coaches. I mean, when's the last time Virginia Tech fired either a coordinator or a head coach? It's been a long time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they let Beamer go on his own accord. So yeah, that was definitely not a foresight. It wasn't the Bobby Bowden gonna act like he retired type of deal. It was a real Beamer was like let's wrap it up type of thing.
Yeah, I see somebody in the chat here saying Florida State if somehow Willie Taggart gets fired. Listen, there's probably 2 schools that I would say that Dino Babers would leave Syracuse for in the ACC. That would be Virginia Tech. If that somehow came open, I think Virginia Tech is definitely a step up from Syracuse. And Florida State, obviously, is a step up from Syracuse, just, especially being in Florida, talent-wise. If Dino Babers would go to Florida State, I think he could do amazing things there. But, the
unfortunate thing with the FSU thing, Well, not unfortunate for me because I damn sure don't want Dino Babers there. But the thing that Dino has working against him right now is, he's one of those high energy rah guys, offensive evolutionists, whatever you want to call him. And that's kind of the same vibe that Willie Taggart came off. So they probably don't want to go that same route again. Okay, this guy big cutting edge, fast paced, spread, very multiple, high energy guy, and fall flat on their face twice in a row. So that would probably be the only thing he had going against him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, also the other thing about Syracuse is a lot of people are thinking that the last year was kind of a fluke for them. I don't really think it is. I think Syracuse, they're never going to be, in my opinion, they're never going to win the ACC, not in the near future anyway. But 9 and 10 wins is really good for a school like Syracuse, and I think that's really what Dino Babers is going to average there as long as he's there, which, like you said, probably won't be for too long if he continues to win that many games. But I don't think it's a fluke at all. I think he's that good of a coach.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely think he's very creative and cutting edge. It would be a great story to see a guy like Dino stay there and grow the program, but guys got to be realistic with themselves and say, even if he does fall in love with that job and it seems like he loves it right now, I mean, this is from a resource and just a recruiting area. The thing about when you work like that, you only got so many states to pull from. In Ohio State and Michigan and schools like that, they usually have a lot. In the South, it just run wild. Everybody picks off from each other and stuff like that. So, you just got a lot of work against them up there. Yeah,
Syracuse is not. Listen, this is no offense to Syracuse. It's not a destination job. It's just not. So there's a ceiling there. It's really hard to recruit, and northern New York. They don't even have a football stadium. They play in a basketball stadium. I mean, it's just
yeah. Unless your name's Jay Boheim, it's not a destination job, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tune in like always, Pete. Man, keep up the good work. I'm gonna check out the show.
All right, man. I appreciate you calling in, brother.
All right.
There you guys have it. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, what's up, man?
Well, not a whole lot. I really hate doing this, but unfortunately, I don't have the ability to ignore is a superpower that I just don't have. People ask me all the time to say, Lou, why do you continue to beat up on Tennessee? Like, what's the point? And I get it. But, I mean, and honestly, partly it's because I'm a little bit lazy and they're low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But mainly it's because of people like the general. Why do they keep doing this to themselves? And I don't mean to single him out because Lord knows he's not the only one. He's just the one that was unlucky enough to call in while I was listening. But I just don't understand why they do this to themselves, Pete. And I don't know, maybe you could help me understand. But you're talking about a team that has lost, 3 in a row to Vanderbilt, 4 of 6 to Vanderbilt, has never beat Will Muschamp, ever, 0 for 7.
Yeah.
It hasn't beat Missouri. I don't remember the last time. Why don't they call you up or Mark Rogers or me or anyone else, Paul Founbam, and convince us that they're going to beat those teams? Why do they never do that? I've never had a Tennessee fan call me up and try to convince me that this is the year they're going to beat Vandy or Will Muschamp.
Right.
It's always Georgia, Florida. Why?
That's a good question. I think they have, and again, I don't really know. You've had a lot more contact with Tennessee fans. I didn't really have any contact with Tennessee fans until I came on YouTube, and you've been dealing with this for God knows your entire life, pretty much. But I think that they have a complex, like they still think it's 1998 or something, and so that they instead of skip over the teams like Kentucky and Missouri and South Carolina, and they go right for the big boys, the dominant guys in the conference like Georgia and Florida and Alabama. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, and please believe at the end of this season, when they beat Vandy, which they are going to beat Vandy, they will be all on the internet and on your show bragging that they beat Vandy and saying, well, we knew we had no chance against Georgia. We were just kind of trolling.
Right.
They were beating West Virginia week 1 last year. You remember, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was a done deal.
Yeah.
Anybody with any sense knew that was going to be not only a loss, but a beatdown.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. And like I said, like Florida's doing the same thing, but they were 10-3.
Yeah, they were 10-3, and also Florida has been relevant in the past decade.
Yeah. Like they're 10-3, and the funny thing is, Tennessee fan will tell Florida fan, when Florida fan says we're winning the East or we're winning 11 games, Tennessee fans say, oh, you know way you're winning the East. You got blown out by Mizzou last year. You got blown out by Georgia 2 years in a row. Then they turn right around. Same Tennessee fan that's trying to explain that to Florida fan, turn right around and call you up and say, I think we can beat Georgia, but I don't know about Florida. It just makes no sense. Listen, saying you might beat Georgia instead of Florida because Florida has a better defensive line than Georgia is like planning on winning the Mega Millions because it has better odds than the Powerball. Hey, I mean, this is insanity to the nth degree.
Hey, listen,
Could Tennessee beat Georgia? Yes, of course Tennessee could beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Tennessee could beat Alabama. They could do a lot of things. But I don't understand why Tennessee fan continually sets themselves up for failure. You're talking about a team that's won 9 games total in the last 2 years, 2 SEC games total in the last 2 years, and all they want to talk about this offseason is which one of the 3 top 10 SEC teams that they play that they're going to beat.
Yeah, I know.
None of them.
I know.
None. That's the answer. You're not winning at Florida. You're not beating Georgia. They could play Georgia in a Big Lots parking lot. Would it matter? No. They're not beating Georgia. They're not beating Alabama. They have a legitimate shot at 7 wins, 8 with a bowl game this year. They should beat Vandy this year, 50-50 with Kentucky. Mizzou, probably not. But they'll win some games. They might sweep the West this year. They got a good draw from not sweep the West, but 1-1. That'd be Alabama, but they might beat the other one from the West. So, but it just makes no sense. They keep setting themselves up for failure like this. Then they'll spend all next offseason saying they're just trolling.
Yeah, and they suffer from the same disease that South Carolina suffers from. And I don't go in hard on Tennessee fans because I don't have any sort of rivalry with them like I do with South Carolina. But when South Carolina fans start talking about beating Georgia or beating Clemson or beating Texas A&M or God knows, some of them are talking about beating Alabama because they beat them 10 years ago or whatever it was. And I'm like, look, why don't you focus on beating Kentucky? Why don't you focus on beating Missouri? Why don't you focus on beating Texas A&M? I get maybe they did beat Missouri last year. I don't know, but I think that game was like a 3-point game or something. But my point is focus on beating the teams that you should be beating instead of losing to them every year before you start worrying about Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama. And Tennessee does the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And I don't know if obviously you heard you're a Clemson fan, but they do Carolina does have a chance to beat Bama now. It's likely winning 10 or 11 games in the East since they have Tevion Feaster.
Yeah. Listen,
Well,
that's the thing
that's a difference maker.
All the Clemson, some of the real potato head Clemson fans were all up in arms about him going to South Carolina. I'm like, look, man, does it matter? They're still going to suck. I mean, who cares? They're not beating Clemson. Right. Somebody left me a message, a Clemson fan. Well, I just don't like the fact that Tavian Feaster, he knows our playbook. Look, you could mail the entire playbook laminated to Will Muschamp, and they're still not going to beat Clemson. I promise you.
Listen. I know you're a Clemson fan. You love Travis Etienne, and he's probably top 3 running back in all of college football. South Carolina could get Travis Etienne. They're still going 75. If they're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. One running back is not. It's not like South Carolina is one running back away from beating Georgia and Alabama and Clemson. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no.
These people are out of their mind. Oh, but And, I got no love for Will Muschamp. I've been clowning this guy for 8 years. I made a living off of it for about a year and a half. But he's not getting fired from South Carolina. There's no way.
No.
Look at, first of all, the schedule here. There ain't but maybe 3 or 4 teams in America that could win 9 games this year with South Carolina's schedule.
No, you're right.
Maybe 3 teams that could win 9 games. It's absolutely brutal. And no coach in South Carolina history has won as many games in their first 3 years as Will Muschamp has.
And damn,
so this is a freebie year for Will Muschamp.
Yeah, that's so sad that stat. I couldn't believe that stat that you just named when I heard it. That he's won more games in his first 3 years than any other coach, and his record is not that good. I mean, that's pitiful.
Right.
That's pitiful. Plus,
he's not going anywhere. And I hate Will Muschamp, and I do the joke, I wish they'd give him a lifetime extension. But in all seriousness, the guy doesn't deserve to get. Now, you never know what could happen off the field issues, whatever. God forbid something like that were to come up, or 0-12 or something. But I mean, realistically speaking, South Carolina's going to win 4, 5, 6 games, somewhere in that range. And if that's the case, Muschamp's not getting fired.
Well, if they win 4 or 5 games, the South Carolina fans owe Pigskin Pete a big, giant apology. Because I said the day, I made a video, the day that they gave him that extension, I said, what are you giving a guy a 6-year extension for who hasn't done anything but win 9 games one time at the school? And you know what he is? He's the Gus Malzahn of the East. He's the guy that they overpay for doing pretty much nothing, and now they're stuck with him until they can afford to buy him out.
Yeah. And real quick, let me give my opinion on this Dino Babers things, and then I'll hang up and just listen to the rest of the show. But I was thinking about this the other day. But how about this list of names here? Dino Babers, Matt Campbell, PJ Fleck, Brom at Purdue. Who else can we throw in there? Well, we'll just go with that. But you got a lot of coaches right now who are at schools that have perennially been winning 6 games a year.
Right.
That have them all up to the 8, 9, and 10 win mark. I mean, that's the ceiling. We all know that. I don't care what Rover Sports said. Rover Sports says Minnesota's winning the national title in the next couple of years.
He's out.
I called Bruce.
He's out.
Yeah, I called Bruce, told him to take his internet away. That's just ridiculous. But like, these coaches are really, really good. Dino Babers, PJ Fleck at Minnesota, Matt Campbell at Iowa State. These are 10-win ceiling schools. I mean, that's just what it is. It's not a knock on the schools. It's not a knock on those coaches. It's not even a knock on those players. That's what those schools. That's the ceiling for those schools. I mean, they're just not. I talk about this all the time. Put Nick Saban at Vandy for 4 years, they'll go 10-2, but they won't ever go any better than that. They just won't. I mean, you just can't. It just won't happen.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but anyway, of those 3 names, though, PJ Fleck at Minnesota, Dino Babers at Syracuse, Matt Campbell at Iowa State, and if you have anyone you want to add in, who's the best of that bunch, and who's most likely to get a bigger, better job first, you think?
Oh, man, I would probably say Campbell. I think that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that Campbell's more likely to get the big job first. Now, as far as who's really the better coach, I mean, I would put Babers right there with him. Now, PJ Fleck, forget about him. I don't even know why this guy gets so much damn attention. I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but he's not even in. He can't wear Dino Babers or Campbell's jockstrap. I'm sorry, he can't.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I would put him third on that list, but the media seems to love him for whatever reason. Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern too.
Yeah, that's another one.
Maybe put him in that. But Pat Fitzgerald, he went to Northwestern, played for Northwestern. It was his first coaching job was at Northwestern.
Yeah.
He's been the coach there for, I think, almost 10 or 15 years. I mean, it's a long time in today's college football. Coach somewhere 10 or 15 years, that's an eternity.
Yeah, he's going to be.
It almost seems like he might just stay there.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those lifers. He's not. I mean, he's got it made there. They love him. He's an icon type of dude. Unless he. Well, actually, I don't even know there's a job he would take. He's got it made there. There's no expectation of winning. And they love him. So
Pat Fitzgerald is the modern day Skeletor, Bill Snyder, over at Kansas State.
Exactly. He'll probably end up staying there until he's 90 years old.
Might be what you're looking at there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, once every 4 or 5 years, he'll win 10 or 11 games, and the people will go nuts. Land of 1,000 lakes up there in Minnesota.
And
I forgot they had a team. Hey, I think you're a little younger than me. Remember that show, Coach, though?
Oh, yeah. I remember Coach.
Yeah. That weren't hearing all this PJ Fleck hype, but Dauber on that show was pretty funny. The guy was 7 feet tall and had a mop on his head.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Let me run.
All
But
right,
I'm going to pray for Tennessee because I don't feel like doing anything for them that matters. But I enjoy your show and talk to you again real soon.
All right, thanks for calling in. There you guys have it. The one and only Uncle Lou. Really no introduction needed there. You all know who he is already. I had a caller on the line that hung up. Hold on, let me go back to this thing here. Caller, if you want to call back. Oh, here we go. No, I'm worried about picking this one up. This one just looks like trouble. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. What's up?
What's up? Oh, is this George?
Hey. Yeah, I wanted to get in right after Uncle Lou.
There you go. That's a way to do it, man. How you doing?
I'm doing so great. Every Thursday for like the last 2 months, I wake up and it gets to be around this time of day, and I realize I've actually accomplished something because it's the Pigs Against Pete Thursday night beer drinker call-in show.
Well, there's two things here.
And I'm like, finally, I timed this shit up right, you know.
There's two things here that we've got to address. Number one, you said you woke up this time of day. It's well, I know you're on the West Coast, but it's 8:00 at night, sir. You're just now waking up.
It's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock at night here, and I got up at 6 in the morning, and I opened my spirit around 8:30 a.m. And it's 5 o'clock now. So I've had like 6 beers, you know.
You've had. All right. Are you in China? Or are you...
Thursday nights, I see your thing, and I'm like, wow, I'm finally ready for something by accident. It's the beer drinker call-in show.
Well, yeah. Normally it's Friday night, but that's all right. It sounds like
I noticed that.
It sounds like you're not concerned with days or clocks, so it doesn't really matter to you.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm retired. I'm the happiest man on earth. At 7 and 8 this morning, I went out about town up until like 9:30, and I took care of all my business, and then I came back home, and I settled back into my rut. I grab an ice cold beer.
So I don't know if you heard the first call from the general, and he was asking me out of all the teams, that are favored against Tennessee and on their schedule, which is most of the teams in the East, with the exception of a few, and of course they play Alabama every year. And I told him that out of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida, the one that I thought that was most likely, even though I don't think it's going to happen, the most likely that they could upset was Florida. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about my...
Absolutely. I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
Wow.
They're not beating Alabama or Georgia, I'll tell you that. That's out of the question, man. I'm not even going to lie.
But you think it's possible that they could beat Florida in the swamp?
No, not this year.
Oh.
Florida's probably really going to be worse to them than Alabama or Georgia. Alabama and Georgia won't even get up for the game, but they'll still win. They'll just coast. But Florida will be up for the game, So it's going to be worse when they play Florida. We're not taking anybody for granted. You understand that? We're a bunch of 4-stars. We have to try harder.
So Florida's actually got a pretty tough schedule. But listen, you've got Miami week 1. I know people, the SEC homers out there are going to say that, that's going to be a blowout or whatever. I'm not convinced of that at all. So let's just call that. Let's just throw that out the window. We don't know who's going to win that game. All right. But now, out of Georgia, you play LSU. Right, I'm considering that 2 losses. So where's the third loss on that schedule? If we're going to say that Florida loses 3 games, but don't talk about Miami, who would be the third one that you could say you could lose to?
You can just pick one at that point. They're all equal. South Carolina, FSU, Missouri, Kentucky.
I was going to say
just pick one.
I was going to say Missouri.
Yeah, I think it would be any run. Yeah.
I'm really bullish on Missouri this year, and I know people think it's just because Kelly Bryant. Well, Kelly Bryant has something to do with it, but if you look at the rest of their team, they might have the best overall team. A lot of people returning, a lot of skill. They've got a little bit more time with their offensive coordinator there, so I think Missouri is going to shock some people this year. And plus, I feel like they're a little bit disrespected with the bowl ban and everything. Missouri's one of these teams. They're not going to win the East, most likely. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not going to. But, they could ruin some people's, postseasons or, their chances to get to the postseason, for sure. Hello? George. I think George might have dropped his phone in the bathtub. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to hang up on him. We'll see if he comes back. What's up, SEC dog? Florida could lose to Kentucky, Auburn, LSU, Missouri, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, even Vanderbilt. Damn. SEC dog is showing no love to Florida. He's kind of losing everybody. 6 o'clock, Glock. What's up with you, sir? Are you talking to Uncle Lou? Yes, I was.
Hey, the SEC should get 3 automatic bids they should make it 8 teams in the playoffs, and 3 of them are the SEC. It's ridiculous that we're going to leave out LSU or Auburn or Alabama or Florida or whoever the next greatest team is. I mean, it's ridiculous.
George.
And you're going to put freaking Kansas in there or something?
George, are we going to ignore the fact that you just were gone for like 2 minutes? Where were you?
I accidentally hit my mute button. I was talking to you the whole time. I picked up my phone to go in the kitchen and grab a beer, and I hit the mute button. And I was listening, and I was going, what's he talking about, man? I'm right here.
Jesus Christ.
It's the beer.
I knew you were still there. I just didn't know what happened. So that's why I didn't hang up on you.
Yeah, you were talking about where he got cut off. Back you next time. Like, I can hear you perfectly.
All right, listen. I am going to hang up on you now, though, because I got to.
Yeah, I give Miami a 0% chance of winning. I have nothing but major contempt for Miami, and that's because of their fans. They forced this upon me. Now I just really hate them.
Well,
I used to like them, but now I don't like them anymore.
You're supposed to hate them. That's fine. You're allowed.
They can't say Gators without. They can't say the word Gators without typing Gaytors. It's like, I'm like, whatever.
All right, man. George, you are always entertaining, and I hope you never stop calling in, sir. But I'm gonna have to let you go because I got another call.
Hey, listen, I let a guy sleep on my couch for a couple of days, and he showed me how to make a video. Go to my channel and watch my last 3 or 4 videos. It's hilarious, and you even get to see me. I'm like some old guy. Some kid showed me how to fucking upload a video. I know how to splice and dice and have special effects and overlay the soundtracks. Isn't that cool shit?
Yeah, I'm gonna trust me.
Go check it out, man. Just for the fun of it, it'll make you laugh.
The first thing I do when I get off this stream is going and watching those videos. I promise you that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's from me to you, man.
All right, George.
Love you. Later.
All right. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, McD Sports 4.
Oh, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I just wanted to call in just to talk some college football. We're in August now.
Yeah.
The Florida-Miami game is 24 days away. What's your pick in that game? Or is it too far out for you to make a pick?
You said Miami and Florida?
Yes, sir.
Well, I've changed my mind about 10 times since yesterday. So I'm going to stick with Miami. I said Miami by 3. And what? I don't really have, and that might change between now and then. Look, because here's the thing is I think that Florida has probably a deeper roster, but I also feel like that Florida is a little bit too confident about this, and Miami's got something to prove. And I don't know, man. It's just that's the toughest game to pick of the year because there are 2 teams that are so unknown at this time. So I'd probably be low scoring game, a defensive game. Both teams are going to have really good defenses. I don't know what Florida's offense is going to look like. I don't even know who's going to be starting quarterback at Miami. I had one guy tell me a couple weeks ago, I guess I had a bunch of Miami fans call in, and we were talking about the game. And, I was asking about the quarterback situation at Miami between Perry and Martell. Apparently now there's a third guy that I don't even know who he is that's in the mix too. But anyway, the point is the guy told me that anybody that thinks that Tate Martell isn't starting the season is either, ignorant about football or they're just biased. And so I got some people telling me Perry's going to start. I got some people telling me Martell's going to start. I heard somebody else today saying that this other guy is making progress. I don't even know who that guy is. So what do you think, though?
I'm leaning towards Florida. I think personally they're a better team. I do think both teams are very overrated personally, but I think Florida is a bit better than Miami. I'm not sold on Nikoski Perry. It's going to be Manny Diaz. First game ever as head coach, so I'm going to probably go with Florida by a touchdown as of right now.
Yeah, so I think the line on that game is like 7.5, and so Florida's favored in Vegas, and so if I was going to place a bet, real money on that, I would at this point I would take Miami. It's at over 7 points because I think that it's going to be close. But I don't know, man. Again, whenever we get closer to the game, because I'm going to actually stream that game. Whenever we get closer to the game, I'll make a pregame prediction that's more solid because there's still a few more weeks. I expect maybe an injury or two happen in camp on either side of the ball. Maybe somebody gets suspended. I mean, we know that especially Florida in the offseason this year has had problems with a lot of people getting suspended. So those things matter. So those things will make a difference. But as it stands right now, I'll take Miami by 3. And that's what I'm going to stick with.
Fair enough. One of the other reasons why I'm calling you is because I absolutely agree with your point about Minnesota. I think they're overrated. My Maryland Terps are going to beat them for a third year in a row. And I just feel like that team is extremely overrated. I don't get the hype around that team at all. I think their head coach, PJ Fleck, is overrated.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand the hype. So that's like the main reason why I'm calling, just to absolutely congratulate you. I think it's one of the best points you ever made in your YouTube career personally. And I really think that it's a wonderful point.
Yeah, and I don't really know. I would say that PJ Fleck is overrated. I don't know if you can say Minnesota's overrated because they're not really rated at all. I mean, I don't really know anybody outside of the state of Minnesota that's expecting them to do anything. But there is a lot of people that think that PJ Fleck is, the second coming of Nick Saban or something. I don't see that. I mean, but I agree with you.
And one more point before I let you go. Besides Clemson and Alabama, and also Georgia on that list as well, who do you think wins the championship? If you had to choose a team not named Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia.
All right, so take Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia out of the conversation. Who do I think would win the national championship this year? Oh, wow.
Yes, sir.
That's a good question, man. I'm going to say – can I pick 2 teams?
Yeah.
I'm going to say
I'm
going to say either LSU or Oklahoma.
Okay. I think LSU definitely has a pass. Even if they don't win the SEC, I think if they go 11-1, lose a close game to Alabama, I think that pass, definitely.
Yeah, I think LSU is going to be LSU is I think they're going to be great. I think they're easily the third best team in the SEC behind Alabama and Georgia, and not far behind Georgia. They're that good. They're that loaded right now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, LSU, and of course Oklahoma is Oklahoma. I mean, until Texas can prove to me that they can take over that top spot, I'm still going to say that Oklahoma runs through the Big 12 with maybe the exception of Texas. And, a one-loss Oklahoma that wins the Big 12, just like last year, will get into the playoff. And if they get into the playoff and Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia aren't in there, they're certainly capable of winning it. So that's my answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One other quick point. Iowa State is better than Texas, in my opinion. I think Texas is overrated.
Yeah, I'm not.
What do you think?
I'm not ready to say they're overrated, but I'll tell you one thing. I heard somebody today on the radio say that that quarterback for Texas, is a dark horse to win the Heisman. He's not winning the Heisman, people. Stop it with that.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you go pick him, Pete. Thanks for taking my call, and I'll be listening.
All right, man. I appreciate the call. All right, I got another call here. Cross my fingers on this one. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
I just want to talk to you about my Gamecocks for a second. You got a minute?
Yeah, I thought you were somebody else because the person that called with the troll call last week had the same area code. So I know. All right, we're good now. All right.
Oh, no, I'm from Woodruff, South Carolina.
Yeah, no, I was about to lay into you. So once I heard your voice, it was a sigh of relief.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just wanting to tell you my predictions for this upcoming season because I think we're going to surprise a lot of people this year. If I had to pick between Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson, I would say Clemson's probably our best chance to win that game. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know, man.
It's that Carolina.
I guess. No, I would say no. But if you're putting it against Georgia or Alabama, I don't think you have a chance to beat Alabama. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say that.
You don't think 3:30 in Williams-Brice?
Well, anything's possible. You did it. I know in 2010 or 11 or whenever it was. Anybody can beat anybody. I'm not saying you can't beat them, but so you're saying out of those three, Clemson would be the team that you'd be most likely to beat. I don't know. I don't know, man. I that's a tough one because I just don't think you're going to win any of those. But I don't know.
I think we beat Clemson. We came in and stole Feaster from Davos. That's one to Carolina already. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean you're going to win the football game, though.
I think he definitely gives us a huge advantage, at least in the rushing game, though, because from what I saw, Feaster's been an ETN.
He's not better than ETN, but the one thing he is better at is catching the ball out of the backfield. Listen, Feaster's a great football player. He gets a bad rap. He had some injuries his first couple years, and so he was sidelined a lot for that reason. And then, of course, ETN, came in and solidified himself as the lead back. So that sort of put Feaster on the back shelf as far as that goes. So, but literally. Right. He really got kind of a bad rap, but when he was healthy and when he did play, he was very productive. He's a really good player, so I'm not going to diminish that at all.
Wasn't he number one in Clemson history on yards per catch or some statistic like that?
Yeah, he does have some.
That can be very misleading, though.
Yeah, he does have some sort of record for Clemson. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it might be, for catching the ball out of the backfield, a running back reception yards or something. But that's, right. That's primarily what they used him for too. And he does have the ability to be a 3-down back. He's not just a 3rd down back. Like the way Clemson used him was like a 3rd down guy. But he does have the ability to run between the tackles, but they just didn't use him that way. And I think the reason they didn't use him that way for the most part was because they didn't need to, because ETN was the guy that ran between the tackles, 9 times out of 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I got one more thing to ask you before I hang up.
All right.
Jordan Birch, where do you think he's going? Carolina, Clemson?
I would say he's probably going to go to Carolina.
Well, what makes you think that? Just because Clemson already has a lot of depth in the D-line?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But, obviously, I want him.
I think if we get Bird, Clemson has to watch out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, listen, if you guys get him, that's a big get. That's a huge get.
Right.
Yeah.
If we don't get him, we're just going to suck again for a few more years. I'm just going to be honest.
Well, look, South Carolina, forget about Clemson. Again, pretty much every team in America that's not named Alabama or Georgia or maybe an Ohio State or an LSU or someone like that. You know, there's a handful of teams that are trying to catch up to Clemson. So, you know, it's not like South Carolina is alone in that category. I know that South Carolina fans are focusing on Clemson, but again, like I was telling Uncle Lou, you really should be focusing on the teams in the East and then worry about Clemson once you're able to handle that. That's just my opinion.
I agree, but I just got that vendetta against Clemson from all these annoying Clemson fans in my neighborhood the last couple of years. Some damn national championship flags. They just came out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, you're gonna see more, more people bragging whenever you're winning. That's for sure.
I agree. Well, I gotta go pick skin. My damn dog's pissing on the floor.
All right, man. I appreciate the call, man.
I appreciate the call.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, there you guys have it. Not too bad. He's reasonable enough for me. When people are nice enough to call me, I will be nice back. Try to be as nice as I can. Now, if people really start talking crazy, then I've got a limit. But he was reasonable enough for me, so I appreciate that. Let me. I'm gonna shut down the call-in studio and just get back to the chat here for a second.
We are sorry. The show has ended. Goodbye.
All right. So I see Mrs. Wilson's in the house. Mrs. Dennis Wilson. Kill a mime. Clemson Carson. Russell Harrison. Good afternoon to you, and of course, Christian Ballard is still here. So now's your chance. Got another few minutes here on the stream. Anybody has any questions for me? That's obviously is not going to call in. Is welcome to ask me them now in the chat. This is your moment. Yeah. By the way, somebody give me an update. What's happening in that game? Not that I care, but what's happening in that Falcons game? Christian Ballard says Penn State beats the Buckeyes this year. I could see that. SEC Dog, great show, Pete. I just realized it's not Friday, and I have to go to work tomorrow. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, it just started. It did really? What time did it start? It's only 8. I don't like the preseason. They're talking about doing away with some of these preseason games and extending the NFL regular season to 18 games. I'm all for it. I don't like the preseason games. As a matter of fact, my own team, I cringe when I watch the preseason games because I'm just waiting for one of the main superstar players, one of the best players on the team to, tear an ACL or pull a hamstring or something like that. It never fails. It happens every single year to almost every team every year. One of the best players gets a major injury in a stupid preseason game. I hate it. 7-0 Denver. Good. What's up, Stone Cold Sassafrasquatch? Has one hell of a YouTube name there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad to watch football too, but the preseason NFL games are pretty much unwatchable. I mean, they just are. All it is tryouts for the scout team to see if they can make the team or not. That's really what it is. Or let's say, look, I mean, if you're a team that drafted a quarterback number 1 overall, let's say the Cardinals. Now, I would like to see that. I'd like to see how Kyler Murray looks, during preseason, stuff like that. But 90% of it is just it's nothing to see here. Russell Harrison says my Canes just lost a starting defensive lineman. Yeah, I saw that. I did see that. I also saw, and of course this is probably a biased tweet because I think it was from a Canes fan that tweeted it, that said that it wasn't a big deal because they have so much depth at defensive line that they could afford to lose the guy, which may be true, but it doesn't matter. If you lose a starting defensive lineman, I don't care how much depth you have, it's still not a good thing, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying. I think Kyler Murray will be good in the NFL regardless of his size. Yes, I do too. I called in and had an argument with a potato head. I think this guy's on the radio somehow. Listen, you guys go check it out. It was like a week and a half ago, maybe a week ago. Spencer from Rover Sports uploaded it to his channel. I think he was on the radio or something with these two guys, but he was filming it for his YouTube channel. Anyways, I called into the damn radio show because this guy was sitting there saying, if you're a quarterback coming out of the Big 12 and you're small and this and that, you can't play in the NFL. And I'm like, well, what about Baker Mayfield? What about Patrick Mahomes? Anyway, the point was he's making all kinds of stupid points about why Kyler Murray's going to fail in the NFL. But he's contradicting himself, saying that he thinks that he likes Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. But those guys played in the Big 12. So his point was if you're 5'10" and a half, you can't play in the NFL yet, but if you're 6 foot, you can. And I just don't agree with that. I think that Kyler Murray is going to be really good in the NFL. Now, the problem is they have an experiment going on over there in Arizona. They hired a head coach who's never coached in the NFL, who also had a losing record pretty much, or not a very good record, in college football. And he runs like an air raid type system. Nobody's ever really done this in the NFL, what they're doing with him. This is a big time experiment. But at the end of the day, Cliff Kingsbury will either succeed or get fired. But Kyler Murray ain't going nowhere. So he'll either succeed in Cliff Kingsbury's system, or they'll get another coach in there after Kingsbury's fired, and he'll do better with them. But the problem won't be Murray. It'll be the coach if they fail, in my opinion. We'll see. Look, I've been right more than I've been wrong on these quarterbacks that go in the NFL. I mean, I'm just telling you, after as high as he was, and of course now everybody knows what he is, and so everyone's riding on the bandwagon. But there was a lot of people that thought Patrick Mahomes was going to be a bust. A lot of people. Same with Baker. So, I don't know what people are watching, man. They know how that works until they actually get there. But if you have a world-class arm and you're accurate, like Baker Mayfield, like Pat Mahomes, and you can move around a little bit, like both those guys, you can put Kyler Murray right in that category, period. And those are the outside of being able to read defenses, those are the most important traits. And if you watch Kyler Murray's passes at Oklahoma, and I realize they were playing against Big 12 defenses, I don't care. His release, his accuracy, his arm strength is second to none. He's every bit as good of a passer as some of the elite NFL quarterbacks, period. End of story. I don't care about his height. He's 5'10" and a half. Here's the thing that guy was saying on that show. He can't see over the offensive lineman at Arizona. How is he going to be able to read defenses and make passes? Look, here's the bottom line. I don't know what people don't understand about this. This is what pissed me off. They said the same thing about Baker Mayfield being too short, or Drew Brees, or Russell Wilson, or you name it. The offensive linemen for Oklahoma were 6'6", 6'7", the same height as the offensive linemen in the NFL. They act like that the offensive linemen for these major college football programs, whether it be Oklahoma or Clemson or Alabama, are somehow shorter than the ones that play in the NFL. They're not. They're the same size. You don't grow 3 inches taller when you get in the NFL. You're already pretty much done growing height-wise by then. So if he can pass over Oklahoma's offensive line, then he can damn sure pass over Arizona's offensive line. So height is not as big of a deal as people think it is. Height does matter, but at that position, it's not that big of a deal. It's just not. It's not as big of a deal as people make it. And then they say he's too small, he's going to get murdered in the NFL. So, I mean, some of the best players in the NFL are smaller than Kyler Murray, weight-wise. They weigh way. There's players, elite receivers in the NFL that are 180 pounds. Kyler Murray weighs over 200 pounds. He's not going to get destroyed. You know, I don't buy into any of that. And look, you got some of the biggest guys in the NFL that are always hurt. Murray will end up playing baseball. Just my opinion. No, he won't. But his guaranteed money as a first overall pick is already way more than he would have made in baseball, and I don't think he'll ever play baseball. Yeah, again, see, this is what I'm saying. SEC dog, I love you, sir, but you're saying NFL defenses are a ton more sharper than Big 12. They are. But how come that doesn't matter for Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes? They played in Big 12. The Big 12 defenses are terrible. I get it. But that has nothing to do with how good Kyler Murray is or isn't. Thank you. If you got skills, you got skills. That's all that matters. Look, Carson Wentz played in the FCS. And he's regarded as a top 10 quarterback in the league. He was on his way to winning MVP. Now, are you going to tell me that FCS defenses are better than Big 12 defenses? No, they're not. They're FCS schools. Anyway, that's one way to get me worked up. But we'll see who's right. We'll see who's right about this Kyler Murray thing. My only problem with Kyler Murray is the fact that I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury. He's a total unknown. But we'll see. I was right on Baker Mayfield. I was right on Pat Mahomes. I was right on Deshaun Watson. All these guys, a lot of people said were going to be busts, right? A lot of people said the same thing about Watson, is the fact that he played in the ACC. He's got to go play against NFL defenses now. And, you know, it is what it is. All right, guys, listen, I got to go. It's been over an hour now. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks to all the Patreon members. If you want to wager on football this year, make sure you go to the link in the description to the Bet Now link. You have to use the link. That's the other thing. If you just go to the website yourself without using the link and put in the code Peete, P-E-E-T-E, I don't think it'll work that way. You have to use the link and then use the promo code. They'll give you 50% bonus on your deposit, and a portion of your deposit will also go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Thanks to Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow for sponsoring all of these call-in shows. Thanks to all my moderators. Thanks for everybody who called in. By the way, also thanks to everybody who called in for actually having a point. That's always a good thing, instead of having just some trolls calling in saying the N-word and other crazy stuff. So that's it, guys. Listen, you're all amazing and fantastic. I will see you probably on Monday or Tuesday when I get back from out of town. Thank you, and have a great night. Pigskin Pete checking out.